Hello everyone, my name is El Parnaso, and in today's video I'm gonna show you the best first Toon match that you will see. So don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share the channel with your people so we can grow. Also remember that I will still be updating the best Yummy Fiesmith Masterclass that already has over 5 hours of content just for $20, and we'll have eventually 6, 7, and even 8 hours of content with the constant updates. So give it a shot, and now let's begin with this one. Again, I'm just very excited by these new Toon cards that we eventually will get at some point here in the TCG, and once they do, I'm pretty sure that they will change completely our concept of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And interaction. So just wanted to give it a quick test. And here I just convinced someone to test for this format, but I didn't tell them that I was actually playing Toon. So we can make an environment of a player reacting to these actual cards in an actual duel. So let's begin. So here I won the dice roll. So I'm thinking of how to play because I have literally 3 different ways to push. I already made a video reading the cards, so now I'm just gonna go straight and try to play. First, because this one immediately on summon give me a second normal summon, I wanna try to push with him without letting him know that I have a second normal or a field spell, just so he can just waste a Baylor or an Imperm maybe, right? So at the end he actually had the Imperm, so good for me, like a 1 card less from my opponent. So now I'm revealing that I have the field spell. I still have the extra normal summon, but here I want to see if he has a Baylor, an Ogre, some shit like that, right? So he don't have any, so now I can just keep pushing just with these 2 cards and anything else. I don't have to let him know that I have another Funny Dark Rabbit, because now I'm gonna put the Mind Scan, right? With the field spell that search this. So now I'm gonna use the effect, and here I'm going to use the other effect to banish temporarily, just during the resolution of the effect, the Funny Dark Rabbit, because Funny Dark Rabbit is not once per turn, which means that once that comes back, I can use the effect to add another field spell again, which is ridiculous, right? And now, because of Mind Scan being face up on the field, my opponent has to reveal his hand, right? As you can see by this action right here. And this is going to be very interesting Yu-Gi-Oh! In the future. I'm really very excited for this kind of interaction. Like, it's going to be amazing. So here now I know that he only has the Harmonia as a hand trap. So now the Mind Scan can just declare Hydraulis Harmonia, and now I can just play free during the whole development of my turn, right? So Mind Scan is saying Hydraulis Harmonia. Now it's negated, and now I will use monster effects on the field like nothing, because I'm chilling. I'm gonna use the other field spell to get another search. Now I go directly with this one instead of the cat, because during his turn I wanna use the Mind Scan to negate the Terminus, and I don't want to use Disruption that activate monsters effect on the field, so the Harmonia can trigger, and therefore they can bounce my Mind Scan. So that is why I go straight for this one. Now I can get straight the counter, so I can just during their turn play with the hand traps, the 2 traps, and then on my turn back I'm just killing him. So here I'm using the effect to send back my cards, so I can recover a copy of the field spell, and I can recover my extender, right? Remember, I can use it twice, because it's not once per name, and if I banish it with the field spell, I can use it again. So now I also know that he drew the Ash Blossom, so I'm really chilling. Here I just had to declare the Terminus, and he only have one way to play, which will be the Lucina, right? I don't have to worry about this because I have the Ogre, so that's completely fine. He's gonna try to use it, I'm gonna just Ogre it, and that will be for the duel, right? So here now I'm gonna show you another cool thing that the Toon deck can do, which is this. You can see in the first game we drew 2 hand traps and 3 different ways to keep pushing the game, right? In this case now, after siding, we can see that we have this kind of privilege when we can draw 4 hand traps and a way to play the game. So that's cool. So I went with the Purulia, which is obviously going to get Ash Blossom, and now he has the Terminus, the Power Patreon, and the Lucina to play, right? So he goes first with Lucina, which is the most replaceable effect, which I think is fine. However, that exposes you to the draw. He can still be playing here in this position though, like it's just normal effect. He can go with the June Pride. The June Pride can special a lot of shit, and then he can go and do a lot of different things, right? However, he's not gonna do it because this card loses to every hand trap in the game, so I'm gonna use a hand trap in the game. And I'm just gonna impulse his ass because I really need him to not play right now. At this point, I was just thinking I'm gonna use the impulse, and in my turn, I'm gonna use the Ash, so I can prevent him to have a lot of names, right? And I was thinking, my win condition here, because I don't have too many engine cards, is for him to send this Jump Pride after it was negated by the impulse, so he can special summon Regina, thinking that he can use Regina to special summon Lucina. Lucina will get the continuous trap, and now he can revive the Jump Pride that way, right? I was thinking that he may got greedy when it comes to that shit, because a way that I could have lost is him trying to do this on my turn again. I was forced to use the Ash, and then he can Regina in my turn, send this, special summon the Tinia. Tinia banish my other card, and if the last card in my hand is not a way to play, I lose. But that last card in hand will be banished by the Tinia, right? So I think that was the correct way. I was just trying to push for what I can do at that point, right? And my opponent got greedy here. He thought, there's no way there's a 4-hand trap, right? There's always a 4-hand trap. You need to respect everything that may happen in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel, because if it's not 0%, it can always happen, okay? So I think this was the key point for me to have a chance of winning this single, because you can see that the Elf Node deck can be kind of powerful, right? I drew 4 hand traps and I was still going to lose that duel. Like 100% I was losing. But this little shit that can change the whole landscape, because now, thanks to my 4 hand trap, he ain't doing shit now, because Regina can trigger again in my turn, which will be very different if he will have just left the Elf Node Jump on the field, right? He could have had a way to play around this hand trap. So now I'm just drawing the Ogre. Well, now he wouldn't have any way to play around it, because if he left the Jump Pride, because me drawing specifically Ghost Ogre, I will have Ghost Ogre the Jump Pride, he will have chained the Regina, send the Jump Pride, special summon the Regina, use the effect, and I will have just Ash his ass right there, But so now the most important thing is to see what the extra draw pot of slot is going to give me, because the card is so versatile, so amazing, that even if my opponent only has 1 card, this pot of slot is still an Upstart Goblin, which is very valuable still, right? Because of shit like this. Look at the card that I'm gonna draw. I'm gonna draw my consistency shit, because this deck, the Toon deck, has literally so many starters. So many, and there's even more that you can actually try to put in the deck if you actually want. Like, for example, you can see it right by here, like by the actual picture right now, but the Toon monsters are actually beast monsters, which means that you can try to work them with beasts or kind of engines that search as beasts. For example, the Tree Brigade shit. The Tree Brigade eventually gets you to the point where you can search any beast monster from level 4 or lower, right? And guess what the fuck are the Toon monsters? Fucking level 4 or lower. So you see my point right here. Now, even without them, just trying the pure version, you can see that there's a lot of consistency, even going second, thanks to Pot of Slot and the Charmis. In this case, just the slot being an extra draw gives you everything you need. In this case, the field spell is gonna get us the rabbit, and now we can just disrespect the Harmonia as much as we want, because the field spell can banish our monster to avoid that monster to get destroyed. In this case, my opponent is not used to this kind of new cards because he wasn't even aware that he was going to face a Toon deck, right? So, you know, here he's gonna try to just destroy this one right now to avoid the eternal cycle of the effects. But the field spell can play around it because I can just banish the rabbit. The Hydraulis is still going to resolve. There's just no monster on my field to destroy, right? The rabbit comes back, and now I have the rabbit again. I know that he he has one card less in hand, and now the rabbit can do his shit, right? Look at how nasty this is. And now I can just keep doing. I'm gonna search again this mind scan to make sure that I know the last card. And in this case, just if I wanted to, I could have negate something, but at this point I know that I don't have to negate literally anything. I go for the Toon, for the Comic Cat, I make the extra normal summon, I tribute the Regina, I special summon the level 6 guy that has over 2000 defense, I make a bunch of damages. He wouldn't even be able to trigger the Wind Pegasus because I can use Mind Scan, say one Pegasus Ignister, and he can use it. In his turn, I'm gonna negate the Terminus. He's not gonna have anything. I have the Ogre, I have the Tribute Quick. So you can see how the deck is really strong, right? And at any given point, I summon literally not even once anything from the extra deck, which is kind of cool. You can see how many pressure the deck is doing without doing shit from the extra deck. And it can actually win a lot of duels too, because here we are just winning at this point, right? Like he's just trying to see what he could do. But you know, it was inevitable to lose at this point. And you can see how everything was made thanks to 4 hand traps, 1 consistency card that get us to our actual engine, the field spell, and then the field spell do all of this shit. Ridiculous, nasty. Even through a Hydraulis Harmonia that actually there wasn't going to have ever any given point to use the effect. So this is what I wanted to show you for this video. The Toon deck comes with a lot of force, and once TCG confirms a date, you should save your money because this is going to be the deck in the format. It's completely nasty and stupid. If you enjoy it, leave a like, subscribe, and share the channel with your people. Also, give a chance to the best jamming masterclass just for $20, over 5 hours of content. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.